I just wanted to ask you, how has the pandemic really affected the grind so far for you, like on a personal level and like on a professional level?
Okay, on a professional level, it has given me a lot to think about because prior to the pandemic, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm gonna keep it real. I
Mm,
was I was an intern at WBUR. I was teaching kids how to rap. I was trying to work on my own shit. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was going in three different directions at once. Like one thing that I learned from like a conversation that I had with Catherine Norris, Catherine Morris, who is the founder of BAMS Fest. One thing that I've like learned about just being an artist is that you can't do three things at once. You have to you have to know about a lot of things, but you can't do everything at the same time. It's taxing as fuck. So prior to the pandemic, I was like, I'm just gonna do everything and anything that I can, and whatever happens, happens. When the shit started, it gave me a lot to think about because I was also like, okay, I'm overexerting myself for very little return on investment. Like I'm investing a lot of
I feel
energy
that.
and then not getting anything back. That's some bullshit.
Yep.
So what I ended up doing was being like, you know what? Instead of me just trying to drop track after track after track during the pandemic, what I'm going to do instead is actually like like actually set certain things up so people are actually going to hear me this time. Because when we were doing the pandemic, I was just kind of doing this without any kind of direction, or not necessarily doing without direction, but it felt like I was just kind of like trying to do so many things to more or less like get the blood flowing or just like get the work ethic up in a sense. But
Yeah.
like what it resulted in was just like a lot of like, really uninspired tunes. But then when I actually got back into the pandemic, it gave me a lot to think about, gave me a lot of inspiration to be like, you know what, where exactly do I want to go with this? What exactly do I want to tell people? Where exactly am I going to go from here? What exactly do I want to talk to people about? What exactly am I going to discuss with people? What kind of artist am I going to be? And I realized that the artist that I want to be isn't going to be the artist that everybody expects me to be. Because I've had a conversation about certain folks with other artists and like how they deal with like, racism and things like that. And then people be like, oh, I thought you were a woke rapper or some shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I get that, bro.
like,
Like,
But
nah,
don't do that.
nah.
Don't do that.
I hate when people do that, especially they're like the try hard like liberals do. They're just like, oh, like I listen to your music for this, and it's just like, bro,
like,
it's just me being a decent person, bro. It's not that
I'm,
deep.
I'm, a, I'm a human fucking being at the end of the day. I'm not gonna be
Eggs,
here to scratch your fucking revolutionary itch, my nigga. I'm here to do me
eggs,
and talk about my
eggs, bro.
experience. That has nothing to do. Like, that's another thing that I learned about the pandemic is that, like, regardless of what it is that I say, regardless of what it is, whatever it is that I am not your fucking fantasy. I am literally not anything that you want me to be because you're not that yourself. That's bullshit. That has nothing to do with me. Don't put that on me, my nigga. I'm just a nigga writing records. Okay, you want somebody that wants to be on
Yeah,
that woke performance
yeah.
shit?
No,
Listen to a nigga that do that
facts.
shit.
Oh,
That's not me.
yo,
Like there's so many art like we could have like a 3 hour conversation just about like how like even like hip hop listeners will like expect so much out of like certain artists,
Right.
and it'll just be really really taxing for just everybody in general. But it's just like that phrase got to me because at first I didn't even think that niggas knew my shit like that. I was like, oh, so you guys are listening. You know what
yeah, yeah, no,
I mean? like
yeah,
that was my response initially. I was like, oh, so you are listening to what I'm talking about.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But what it really comes down to is that they see an entertainment factor in the fact that I'm like being a huge bullshit detector when it comes to like societal norms or just like government or just like politics in general. When in reality,
Yeah.
I don't really give too much of a fucking shit about politics or anything like that. I don't really like talking about it because it pisses me off. What I really talk about
Yeah,
is just the
rightfully so.
experience. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing that I can talk about And that's the only thing that that's the only thing that I can give to you. I'm not gonna sit here and be like KRS-One and be like, all right, I'm gonna rap to you about the fucking pyramids and Mansa Musa and shit. Like that has nothing to do with me, nigga. I don't know about that shit.
Yo.
This is the knowledge.
Like
Thanks.
niggas want me to be Ty Lopez with that shit. Like I'm good, bro. Like,
Yo.
and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with like KRS-One because at the end of the day, like he did give birth to like, intellectual shit when it came to hip hop, and you have to give credit to that because he was talking about politics when it wasn't cool to talk about politics.
Oh yeah,
So
especially yeah.
he was like the
Make sure you say
Spike
that.
Lee of like hip hop. You
So
feel
you
me?
in Sekula?
Yeah,
Huh?
I'm not saying definitely make sure you say that because all the boom bap rappers they're all gonna sit there and be like, yo, you hear this nigga, bro? Out here dissing one of the greats, bro. You hear this shit? They're gonna be on your post.
I
They're
piss
gonna be
off
on your
boom
post.
bap
They're
Yo.
niggas
gonna
on
just
a
keep
regular
spamming Grandmaster
basis, bro.
Flash memes and shit.
Bro,
Yo.
wait till listen. I piss off boom bap niggas on a regular basis. I am
As you
dead
should.
slander
You
account,
should.
bro.
Yo, Khalil, remember the hip hop debaters, dude? I'd be having flashbacks to that, bro.
Man, that place gave me PTSD, bro. You can't
Thanks.
say shit about Tupac in that group. Them niggas on your ass, boy.
Yo.
They're like, yo, I'm gonna dox you and I'm gonna swat you, bro. That's
On
it.
God.
Bro,
Like, bro, all I
legit,
said was
legit.
Tupac wasn't that great. Like, he has a lot of controversial lines opposed to his, like, philosophies. And niggas would just be like, bro, who the fuck are you to say that? Like, is you his dad, nigga? I'm like,
Yo, we got
bro,
to like a
stop it.
68 comment like debate, bro, with like
You out
a
here
thread of
defending
like
him like he your
replies.
brother, dog. Like, you know what I mean?
Listen, all right. I'm gonna say I will say this. I will say this in retrospect to like how like old heads view like 90s shit versus like how we view the shit that we listen to now. So one thing that I kind of drew back to when it comes to listening to just music in general is that people are always going to respond to a feeling and or emotion regardless of how it's conveyed. The more they feel this shit, the more they're gonna back it up. The more that they
Right.
relate to it, the more that they can understand the feeling, the more they're gonna like be like, yeah, I fuck with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like sometimes you really have to draw it out for certain people, and I feel like if there was anybody that did that really, really well back in the day, it was Tupac. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why old heads will be on your ass if you even like talk sideways on your neck about the nigga.
Very
Because
true.
they're like, oh, he's like the greatest rapper alive. But if you really think about it, he wasn't a top lyricist, not in the slightest. But you did feel what he was saying.
Right.
100%. Like, regardless if you loved him or hate him, you did know what he was talking about. You were kind of like, you know what? I feel him. I may not necessarily like the style. I may necessarily know a couple of people that are better than him. I do, however, feel what he's talking about. So
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, yeah, of course, Tupac, best rapper in our generation. But like, they're talking about the fact that he was able to like translate lyricism and emotion at the same time, make those two things mesh, and actually say certain things and actually talk about things, as opposed to like a lot of other rappers back in the day that more or less just had like a lot of lyrical ability, but it kind of loses direction after a while.
With
You
no
know what I
real
mean?
Yeah.
substance.
And
Yeah.
the reason why like so many artists that are still on that boom bap lyrical shit is because they themselves fall into that same category where they have all this ability, all this delivery, all this, all the banging beats and they do a lot of this. But
Right.
like, what are they saying? What is happening? Where's the emotion? Where's the feeling? Where's the sauce? Where's the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
Feel you.
where's the where's the
Um,
where's the sh- where's the flavor, bro?
Yeah.
fact.
Where is it at? Like, I don't know where it is, bro. We don't
Yeah.
see it. We don't feel that shit. And the folks that do feel the shit are usually folks that are practically just gatekeeping because they think that rapping fast means you're rapping good.
Eminem.
Yo.
Criminal, criminal.
I was,
Don't get me
waiting
started
for
on
it. I
that,
was waiting
bro.
for it,
Don't
bro.
get me started, bro. Don't get me started. But like, I will say
Yo.
this. I will say this. If folks just
Dorian,
continuously
Dorian.
gatekeep, if folks continuously gatekeep and then don't understand, you want to know who my favorite, like my all-time favorite, like rap group is, like of all time? I have two of them, by the way.
Who?
I have Leaders of the New School and A Tribe Called Quest. You want to know why?
Tribe Called Quest. Ooh.
Because A Tribe Called Quest, they were kind of in the same vein that a lot of people saw in Tupac, where it was like you kind of just felt a vibe from what it is that they were saying. It wasn't necessarily something that a lot of people could understand, but it also wasn't necessarily something that a lot of people could get down with, but it was like they would just say certain things, you would be like, that's a cool ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's a cool ass dude. Like,
Right.
you would see Q-Tip and be like, that's a cool ass dude. You would see Fife, be like, that's a cool ass dude. And then they would do songs like Scenario with, like, you know, Leaders of the New School with, like, you know, Charlie Brown, Busta Rhymes, and, you know what I'm saying? Like, they would just do shit that was cool. And people were like, I kind of feel it because, like, there's a lot of cool energy emitting from it. And it doesn't sound like they're trying too hard. It just kind of feels like it's a natural thing where it's like, you know what? This person is saying something, but I don't necessarily feel like they're trying to pander to a certain audience when they say it. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest hurdle for a lot of, you know, lyrical rappers, to the point where it becomes like, is this person being performative? Are they pandering to certain people? Or is what they're saying actually authentic? You know what I mean? Are they saying this because there's a market for it? Or are they saying this because this is a genuine experience that they've had themselves? And that's what music listeners want out of everything. You know what I mean? That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear a nigga rapping on a fucking track for 5 minutes, not doing the goddamn thing. I don't want to hear a nigga say, go,
that lyrical miracle, bro.
cut that shit off.
Don't you dare say that about Jid. Don't you do that. Don't you do Jid like that.